Hello everyone, I am Manoj SV. In this video, I am going to teach you regarding transcription process. So before learning this transcription process, we have to know what a central dogma is. So in molecular biology, the central dogma plays an important role. So what is the central dogma? Central dogma is nothing but here the DNA is getting converted to RNA and RNA is getting converted to protein. So this mechanism which occurs in each and every cell is called as central dogma of molecular biology. So here this process of conversion of DNA, which is double stranded, to a single stranded RNA, and this RNA will code for certain proteins, and this entire process is called as central dogma. And in this process, in this central dogma, sometimes most of the times DNA will produce another DNA by itself, and such process of duplication of DNA is called as DNA replication. And this DNA to RNA, the conversion of DNA to RNA is called as transcription. So this process DNA to RNA is called as transcription, and the process RNA to protein is called as translation. And this process from DNA to DNA is called as replication. In some bacteria or in some viruses, there is a mechanism that RNA gets converted to DNA. So this process is reverse of transcription. Hence, such process is called as reverse transcription, and it is only due by the enzyme reverse transcriptase. So this complete mechanism which occurs in molecular in each and every cells, and this is studied as central dogma of molecular biology. In this video, I am going to explain you only regarding transcription. So transcription is nothing but it is the process in which the DNA is helping in producing the RNA. That is, the RNA is produced, the process of production of RNA from the DNA is called as transcription. So this is, we can give an example, or the comparison for this process is, for the central dogma is, in most of the Dawn movies, that is Dawn based or Rowdy based movies, in most of the old Kannada movies also, we can find one in a gang of thieves, or in a gang of Dawn, or in a gang of robbers, we can find a single head person. That is, he is the master in that gang. He is the master of that gang. So that master will have certain code, and that code will be given to his subordinates. The master will give some kind of code to loot something or to bring the money. He gives certain kind of code, and that code the master will give to his subordinates, and this subordinates will take the code from the master, and they rob, or they collect money, or they loot the area. Same way, DNA acts as master inside the cells. So DNA is the master, and this DNA master has certain code in it, and that code will be given to RNA, which is the subordinate of DNA. So DNA has code, and that code will be transferred to RNA, and this process is called as transcription. Now this RNA which has code in it will go to some place, and it will synthesize proteins. That is, it will loot, or it will collect the money by using the code. So by using the code, this RNA will synthesize proteins in the cell, and this RNA to protein process is called as translation. So we have learned about central dogma now. Now coming to the actual topic, that is transcription. So in this transcription, does each and every part of or each and every segment of DNA undergo transcription? When you consider this as a DNA, okay, this as a DNA, only certain part of DNA will undergo transcription. Not the entire DNA undergo transcription every time, but only certain part of DNA undergo transcription, and that part is called as gene, or it is called as transcriptional unit. So this is transcriptional unit. In this transcriptional unit, we have promoter, or we have three regions. The first region is initiation region, coding region and termination region. In the initiation region we can find promoter. This box what I have written is promoter, and at the termination region I have written another one rectangle, and that is known as terminator. So we have promoter at the starting and terminator at the end. In between promoter and terminator there is a sequence of nucleotides which is present, and that complete region is called as coding region. So this entire region is coding region. In this coding region, as we all know, DNA is a double-stranded molecule. Therefore, we have two types of strands. One is coding strand and another one is template strand. So coding strand is nothing but it codes for the it has certain codes, and that code will be given to the mRNA. Okay, and template strand is a single strand. Template is nothing but it acts like a base or platform for the production of the RNA. So template strand acts as the platform for the production of the RNA. So this is the function of coding strand and template strand. Coding strand, the name only suggests it contains code. It has code in it, and that code will be given to mRNA or any other RNAs. Template strand is nothing but it acts as the platform or template to produce or to synthesize RNA. Now what is the role of promoter and terminator? Terminator, we all know terminator is nothing but it ends or it terminates the transcription process. What is the role of promoter? Promoter is a region in the DNA, or promoter is a region in the transcriptional unit wherein it helps in it is a region where the RNA polymerase enzyme will bind. So what is this RNA polymerase? RNA polymerase is an enzyme. It is a multi-subunit complex which has nearly, in prokaryotes it contains 5 subunits, and in eukaryotes nearly 10 to 12 subunits are present. This RNA polymerase enzyme, the main function of this enzyme is to produce RNA. So the RNA polymerase, the name only suggests polymerase is increase in the number of nucleotides and increasing the length of the chain. What chain? RNA chain. So therefore RNA polymerase enzyme will synthesize RNA. Okay, and that RNA polymerase enzyme cannot synthesize RNA wherever it wants. So this RNA polymerase binds to the promoter region, and from there it initiates the transcription process, synthesizing RNA. So this is regarding the structure of transcriptional unit. So now we learned what is central dogma, we learned what is transcription. The second point we have to learn is where does this transcription occurs. So where does this transcription occurs? In prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells means it has a primitive nucleus. For example, when you consider this as a cell, so the genetic material or DNA is suspended in the cytoplasm itself. So there is no proper nucleus. Such cells are called as prokaryotic cells. So in prokaryotic cells, this transcription process occurs in the cytoplasm itself. But in eukaryotic cells, for example, when you consider this as a cell, and inside the cell there is another small compartment called nucleus. In the nucleus you can find the chromatin network or genetic material. So in this nucleus, the genetic material is bound by nucleus. Therefore such cells are called as eukaryotic cells. So U means true, eukaryotic means U means true, and karyo means nucleus. So in this kind of cells, that is eukaryotic cells, this transcription process occur inside the nucleus. So what is transcription? Where does transcription occurs? Transcription is the process in which RNA is synthesized from the DNA. Okay, and it is the main process of central dogma. It is the first process of the central dogma. Next, second, where does transcription occurs? In prokaryotic cells, transcription occurs in the cytoplasm itself or cytosol. In eukaryotic cells, transcription occurs in the nucleus. Now coming to the mechanism of transcription. So how does this transcription process occurs, or what kind of molecules are involved in this transcription process? We have nearly 3 molecules. We require 3 types of molecules for this transcription process. First one is enzyme, second one is DNA or the genetic material, and third one is factors. So what is this enzyme? We use RNA polymerase here. So in this transcription process, we use RNA polymerase as the enzyme. And DNA, we have genetic material DNA. And third, coming to the factors. Most of the factors help in this transcription process. In eukaryotes, this factors plays an important role, but in prokaryotes we can find only two types of factors. One is sigma factor and another one is rho factor, which we learn here in the mechanism. So all these two factors, they help in the initiation and elongation. So what is the role of this factor? These factors activates the inactive enzyme. So I said you RNA polymerase help in the synthesis of RNA. So now this RNA polymerase has to bind to promoter. So how does this RNA polymerase find the promoter? It is with the help of factor. So one factor called the sigma factor will bind to the RNA polymerase, and that RNA polymerase will then bind to the promoter region. So this is how factors activates the enzymes. And in the same way, rho factors help in the termination of the transcription process, okay, which we learn in detail in this next part of this video. So here, coming to the mechanism of transcription. So generally this transcription process has three steps. First is initiation, second is elongation, and third is termination. So in initiation step, the name of the step indicates that the transcription process will begin. Initiation is nothing but beginning or starting of the transcription process. Elongation is nothing but at the center. So at the center is nothing but the RNA molecule will be elongated, and termination is nothing but it is the last step. In termination step, the transcription will end. So coming to the initiation. So in initiation, you can find DNA molecule here. We have DNA molecule here, and in this DNA molecule, as we all know, DNA is made up of two strands, and one strand is from 5 prime to 3 prime, another strand is from 3 prime to 5 prime. This we have to remember. Now 3 prime to 5 prime strand is called as template strand. So here in this initiation step, we have 3 prime to 5 prime strand here. So what happens is, at the promoter region, first RNA polymerase will come and bind. This purple color thing is RNA polymerase. So RNA polymerase will come and bind to the promoter region with the help of sigma factor, this yellow color. So sigma factor, so what happens? First sigma factor will bind to RNA polymerase, then they both come to the promoter region, and RNA polymerase will bind to the promoter region. So this is how the mechanism works. So now RNA polymerase starts to move from 5 prime to 3 prime direction. As the RNA polymerase begin to move, it starts to synthesize the RNA. Okay, so the initiation or the initiated length of the RNA, or at the starting, the RNA molecule will form a hydrogen bond between the DNA with the DNA molecule, that is with the template strand. So RNA will form the hydrogen bond with the DNA at the beginning. So here you can find the hydrogen bonds between the RNA and the DNA. So there forms a transcription bubble. So what is this transcription bubble? We all know, according to Watson and Crick model, the DNA is double helical structure. So hence, since it is double helical structure, when you remove the hydrogen bonds present between the two strands, then what happens is the length of, or the diameter of that particular region increases. That is, it rises up. If you consider this as the DNA, when you remove the hydrogen bonds, the diameter increases and this forms a bubble-like structure. So this bubble-like structure is called as transcription bubble. Okay, and transcription bubble is the region where RNA polymerase move and it synthesizes RNA. So now this RNA polymerase move in 5 prime to 3 prime direction only. Okay, so this RNA polymerase move like this in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and we can find the transient base pairing of RNA. So RNA has has formed a transient base pairing with the DNA, that is the removable base pairing or the removable hydrogen bond, or the loose hydrogen bond will be formed between RNA, that is the initiation of RNA, and the DNA to hold the RNA firmly. So this is regarding the initiation step. Next, coming to the elongation step. In elongation step, what happens? So in initiation step, I said you that RNA polymerase is bound to sigma factor. Now, as soon as the nearly 10 to 15 nucleotides are arranged, as soon as the formation of RNA takes place, or 10 to 15 nucleotides are arranged in the RNA, the sigma factor detaches from the RNA polymerase. So in elongation, there is no sigma factor. So in elongation, we have RNA polymerase, and this RNA polymerase moves from 5' to 3' direction, and it synthesizes, or it elongates the RNA. It elongates the length, it increases the length of the RNA by adding the nucleotides. And how does this increases the length by adding nucleotides? It depends on this coding strand. So we know there is a coding strand here. So the coding strand, what are the nucleotides present in the coding strand will be present in the RNA. For example, if coding strand has A, G, C, T, then the RNA coming from this DNA will have the same base pairs, that is A, G, C, but instead of T we have U. So this is in coding strand of DNA, and this is in RNA. So in coding strand of DNA, there is a base pair like AGCT, and in RNA we find AGCU. So what are the nucleotides present in the coding strand will be seen in the RNA. So this is how the length of the RNA will elongate, and later, and this transcription bubble will increase. So, and we can find two regions here. One is before this RNA polymerase. This site is called as rewinding site, and the site after the RNA polymerase is called as unwinding site. I have written here rewinding and unwinding. So rewinding means as soon as the RNA polymerase move, the broken hydrogen bonds, or this transcription bubble tends to close. So if this is a transcription bubble, as soon as RNA polymerase have moved, it tends to form the hydrogen bond, and it again forms the helical structure. Hence it is called as rewinding site. But after this RNA polymerase, that is, this site is called as unwinding site. Why it is called as unwinding site? Because there the hydrogen bonds are broken, and it starts to produce the transcription bubble. So this is the elongation process. Now coming to the last step, that is termination. So in this termination process, we have two types of termination basically. One is row dependent and another one is row independent. Row dependent is this process will require row factors. Okay, row factors are nothing but hexameric proteins. So here you can find 6 dots. I have placed 6 dots in as row factor. That is, it has 6 subunits. So row factor is nothing but a protein which have 6 subunits in it. So now this row factor, the termination process where row factor is involved is called as row dependent termination, wherein the termination where there is no row factor involved is called as row independent termination. So here in the row dependent termination, this kind of row dependent termination we can find in almost all the eukaryotes, in 90% of the eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So this row dependent termination, in this type of termination row factors are involved. So now what happens at the terminator site? So here I have written terminator. At the terminator site or near the terminator site, the row factors will be present. Now as the RNA molecule is synthesized, the row factors, as soon as there is a certain sequence of RNA polymerase, row factors will bind to the RNA. So here row factors will bind to the RNA, but in initiation sigma factor will bind to enzyme. So sigma factor will bind to enzyme in initiation, but in termination Rho factor will bind to RNA, not to the enzyme. It binds to the RNA. So now Rho factors will bind to the RNA, and this entire transcription process will be terminated. And we get three products. One is DNA, another one is RNA, and the enzyme. So enzyme, DNA and RNA will be separated. So this is regarding row dependent termination. So we have learned regarding row dependent termination. Next is row independent termination. In this row independent termination, row factors are absent. If row factors are absent, then the RNA molecule which is produced from the RNA polymerase will undergo certain changes in its production, or the RNA molecule will starts to terminate by itself. So how does it starts to terminate? The first condition for that is it produces GC rich nucleotide sequence. That is, in a sequence there must be large amount of guanine and cytosine nucleotides. So such condition, if that condition satisfy, then row independent termination will be succeeded. And the second condition is this nucleotide sequence at the terminal of the RNA will be always palindromic sequences. So what are these palindromic sequences? In English literature we have certain set of words called as palindromic words. For example, madam. When I spell that madam word, from right to left it is M-A-D-A-M, and from left to right it is again M-A-D-A-M. So such words are called as palindromic words. Even Malayalam is also a palindromic word. In the same way, this RNA molecule will start to produce palindromic sequences. So here for example I have taken ACGCA. So ACGCA is a palindromic sequence, and so when I read from top to bottom it is ACGCA, from bottom to top it is ACGCA. So such nucleotide sequences are called as palindromic sequences. So RNA molecule at the end of the RNA at the end of this transcription process, when row factors are absent, RNA molecule will produce such kind of palindromic sequences, as well as in that palindromic sequence it must contain guanine and cytosine nucleotides in large quantities. So here also in this example guanine and cytosine is more in number. So if these two conditions are satisfied, the row independent termination is completed. That is, the row independent termination occurs and the termination produces three products. One is DNA, RNA and enzyme. So such termination is called as row independent termination. And the important or interesting feature in this row independent termination is the palindromic sequence which is produced will have its own complementary palindromic sequence. So here ACGCA is a palindromic sequence, and later on we have several nucleotide sequences, and we have another palindromic sequence which is complementary to the first one, that is UGCGU. So UGCGU is another palindromic sequence. So both these palindromic sequences are complementary to each other, and they both form intramolecular hydrogen bond. So due to the formation of intramolecular hydrogen bond, it forms a loop-like structure. So this is called as hairpin loop. So due to the formation of such hairpin loop-like structure, the RNA polymerase cannot move further, and RNA polymerase will be detached from the DNA. So this will help in the termination of the transcription process. So this is regarding row independent termination. So till now we studied regarding the mechanism of transcription. We studied initiation, elongation and termination. In termination there are two types, row dependent and row independent. Okay, and we have to remember row is a hexameric protein, that is it has 6 subunits. So this is regarding mechanism. So now entire transcription process occurs in the nucleus of the cell. This mRNA or the RNA which is produced in the nucleus should be transported to the cytoplasm for translation process. So during this transportation, or when this mRNA when it exposes to the cytoplasm, there are the chances of its degradation, because cytoplasm or cytosol contains many nucleases enzymes like RNase. So RNase enzyme will break and degrade the mRNA molecule, thus the entire process is waste. So to protect this RNA from the nucleases enzyme and to stabilize this RNA, the RNA which is produced will undergo certain changes. Such changes are called as post-transcriptional modifications. So what is post-transcriptional modifications? Post-transcriptional modification means after the transcription process, the RNA molecule will be in inactive state. Okay, so this inactive RNA molecule will be converted to active RNA molecule by undergoing certain changes. So such changes are called as post-transcriptional modification. Okay, and this RNA molecule which is just produced is called as primary transcript. The RNA molecule which we got here, this RNA is called as primary transcript. So in prokaryotes, this primary transcript will suddenly, after the production of, as soon as the production of this primary transcript, it undergoes translation process. And sometimes even at the middle of the transcription process, when there is more RNA, it may start the translation process in the prokaryotic cell, because in prokaryotes both transcription translation occur in the cytoplasm itself. But in eukaryotic cell, transcription occurs in the nucleus, and the RNA which is produced in the nucleus should transport to cytoplasm, and there in the cytoplasm translation or protein synthesis occurs. So here this primary transcript should be, which is an inactive state, should be converted to the active RNA. So during this conversion of inactive to active form, it undergoes three changes, and such changes are called as post-transcriptional modification, and it undergoes mainly three changes. So what are those three changes? First one is 5' methylation. At the 5' end of the RNA, that is this primary transcript, at the 5' end, a methylated guanosine triphosphate will be added. So here at the 5' end, a methylated guanosine triphosphate. Guanosine triphosphate is a nucleotide. So this, at the 7th position of this guanosine molecule, a methyl group, CH3 group will be added. So this CH3 group at the 7th position of the methyl guanosine triphosphate acts as a cap to the RNA molecule. So such RNA molecules are called as, or that process is called as 5' methylation. So here you can observe the cap at the 5' end. Now next, the second step is 3' polyadenylation. That is at the 3' end. Now at the 5' end there is presence of cap. At the 3' end, a adenine group will be added continuously. So the number of adenine group may vary. In some RNA molecules the adenine group is 100, in some it is 200. So at the 3' end, just only adenine group will be added, not any other nitrogenous bases. Only adenine group will be added at the 3' end of the RNA molecule. So this adenine is called as poly A tail, and that process of adenylation is called as 3' polyadenylation. Poly means many, adenylation means adenine group will be added. So this is called as polyadenylation. So what are the functions of these two processes? Means this 5' capping and 3' polyadenylation will stabilize the RNA molecule. The first function is it stabilizes the RNA molecule. Second function is it protects the RNA molecule from the degradation, okay, from the action of the enzymes. So enzymes cannot act on the RNA molecule when there is 5' and 3' cap and polyadenylated 3' tail, poly A tail is present. So these two, the first function is they stabilize the RNA molecule. The second function is they protect the RNA molecule from the degradation. And third function is this 5' capping will help to locate the tRNA and ribosomes during translation process. So it acts as the locator to the tRNA and ribosomes during translation process. So this is one of the function of the 5' capping. So all this entire process occurs only in the eukaryotic cell. So now we have 5 prime capping and 3 prime poly-A tail and the entire set of mRNA. So in this mRNA, there are chances of presence of some non-coding regions. So there are two regions in the mRNA. One is exon and the another one is intron. Exon is nothing but the coding region. So code is nothing but the code which is present in the DNA. So DNA has certain code and that code will be transferred to the RNA. So this code will be present in the exon region. And in between two exons there will be intron. So this intron region is a nonsense region or non-coding region. That is, they do not contain any kind of codes for the synthesis of protein. So at this this intron, which is waste, should be removed. So this intron should be removed. So this process of removal of intron and this exon should be added so that the entire DNA molecule, entire RNA molecule will contain only exons. So this process is called as splicing. So what is splicing? Splicing is the process in which the introns or non-coding regions are removed and exons are joined, so that the active mRNA will contain 5 prime methylated cap, 3 prime poly-A tail, and in between 5 prime and 3 prime the entire mRNA will be having the coding region, that is exon. So such mRNA in eukaryotes are called as active mRNA. So this active mRNA enters into the nucleus from the enters into the cytoplasm from the nucleus and participates in the translational process. So this completes the entire transcription mechanism. Thank you.